Now let's try multiplying three binomials together. In this one, we're going to be multiplying x minus 1 with x minus 1 times x plus 2. Our strategy here is to multiply the first two binomials together, and then once we have that, we would multiply that product with our third binomial. So let's do that. Now, I can use a distributive property, but I really don't need to because this is a special product. It's a binomial squared, so I can just do a squared minus 2ab, in this case would be 2x, and then plus b squared, so plus 1. And that I'll be left with that trinomial, and then I'm going to multiply that with the x plus 2. So now I'd use the distributive property, so I'd multiply x squared with x, leaving me with x cubed, x squared with 2, giving me plus 2x squared. Now I'll multiply the negative 2x with each of these terms in the binomial, so that's going to give me negative 2x squared, then negative 2x with 2, which would give us negative 4x. Now we do the 1, so 1 with each of these terms, it's just going to give us plus x plus 2. And then we combine our like terms. With this one, I will be left with x cubed, and then 2x squared minus x squared, they cancel out. And then negative 4x plus x gives me negative 3x, and then plus 2. And that would be my final product. Here are some special product patterns. You've seen most of these before. One is a sum and a difference, where we have a plus b times a minus b, which is equal to a squared minus b squared. When factoring, we would simply switch those around, where you would have a squared minus b squared is equal to a plus b times a minus b, and we call that a difference of squares. And that's exactly the same thing, it's just switched around. Okay, so we've seen that, we're familiar with it, we don't really need to go over that again. And there's a square of a binomial. We've seen these before as well. A squared plus 2ab plus b squared, and if it's a minus, a squared minus 2ab plus b squared. But we have not seen the cube of a binomial before. And the cube of a binomial, we have one for plus and one for minus. So instead of having a binomial and squaring it, we're going to cube it. And every time you multiply those three binomials together, or three of the same binomial, the pattern is always the same. It's going to be a cubed plus 3a squared b plus 3ab squared plus b cubed. One thing you can notice about this is, to help you remember, the first term, you're always going to start off cubing it. And, same as you have here. And then it descends. 3 to 2 to 1, and then 0, which it's gone. Then, for the second term, it's the opposite from left to right. So b to the 0, so it's not there, but then b to the 1, b squared, and then b cubed. So the first one's descending, and the second term is ascending. And the coefficients follow a pattern as well, where it's just 1, 3, 3, 1. Just think of the 3's as the same as the cube. Okay, so you have two flavors of this. You have one for addition and 1 for subtraction. The difference in the subtraction is our signs. The middle is always going to be positive, and then these are always going to match. The outside ones are always going to match what you have in here. So here's a couple examples. We can see where I have x squared, or x plus 2 cubed, so x cubed, and then squared, and then x, and then it's gone, and then a 2. Okay, well, there's 2 to the 0 is not there, and then 2 squared, and then you multiply that with 3, or sorry, 2, and then multiply 3, and then 2 squared, multiply that with 3, and then 2. And then we do the same thing here. But I think it'd be a lot easier if we actually worked one out, and we can see that a little bit better. So I want to find the product. Now again, I could write this out, and I could say, oh, 2x minus 3 times 2x minus 3 and 2x minus 3, and then we could multiply, distribute, and multiply it together like we did in the last example. However, it's more time efficient to use the special product, plus you need to recognize the special product in certain cases where we use this. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to do this a step at a time for this first one. So remember, the first one's going to be cubed, so it's going to be 2x, and then it's going to be cubed, and then the second term is not going to be there. Okay, it's 3 to the 0, so it's not going to be there, and then we're going to have a minus sign, and then we're going to have a coefficient of 3, and then it's going to be 2x, and then that descends. The degree goes from 3 to 2, and now the 3 shows up, so 3 to the first, and then this is always going to be plus, and then our coefficient of 3 again, and then we're going to have 2x, but now it goes from 3 to 2 to 1, and then here we go from 0 to 1 and then to 2, so it's going to be 3 squared. And then finally we'll have a minus sign, a coefficient of 1. Then it's going to be 2 to the 0, so that's not going to be there. And then 3 to the third power, 3 cubed. And now we'll go ahead and simplify this. So 2 cubed, that's going to give us 8x cubed, minus, and 3 times 3 is 9, and 2x squared, that's going to give us 4x squared, plus, okay, so 3 squared is going to be 9, and then 9 times 3 is 27, so I'll have 27 times 2x minus 3 cubed, which is going to be 27. And then we'll continue. So then we'll have 9 times 4, which is 36x squared, plus 54x minus 27. And that is our final product. With practice, it gets easier and easier, and you can do it faster and faster. But you just kind of have to drill this sort of thing, and then it comes fairly naturally. Okay, so that's it. That's how we add, subtract, and multiply polynomials. So I'll see you on the flip side.